Well, a very, very happy Monday morning to everyone, and welcome to the John Kenera Show on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. I certainly did. Our Padres took down Washington 2 out of 3. They let that game on Saturday night. It was right there, and they just couldn't quite get the big hit. They had ample opportunities, but hey, you'll take 2 out of 3. They move on. They start a series tonight in Miami. 3 game set there. Monday, Tuesday night, early morning game on Wednesday. We're going to actually be on the air just prior to the Padres starting on Wednesday, but we're going to keep you up to date on everything. And then the Padres will finish up the 10-game road trip with 4 starting on Thursday against the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals right now really reeling, and of course we're getting closer to the trading deadline coming down on July 31st. Padres going to be buyers, sellers, or are they going to stand pat? Lot to cover, lot to cover. Okay, as usual, want to remind everyone, if you're tuning in for the very, very first time, or you've tuned in on a regular basis and haven't taken time to subscribe, please subscribe to the channel. Would very much appreciate that. We want to build this following. We want to keep this show going for a long period of time. All right, as long as I'm having fun, you're having fun, Jonathan, who runs the show, is having fun, we're going to continue to do this show. But we need your help out there. We definitely need your help. We want to build the subscriptions up and get the word out. A little bit later today, I may call for a roll call. We haven't had a roll call in a while, so I may call for that. So wherever you're listening, be ready to type in and let us know where you're watching and listening to the show from. Okay, so please subscribe, please like, and please send in your comments. You can start right now for Coach's Crew. That's our live questions that we take. We'll be doing that fairly quickly today. And then at the end of the program, we always have a Coach's Mailbag from some of the questions we didn't get to or they came in after the previous show. So we'd very much appreciate that. Okay, before I break down the 3 game set, in Washington, I want to share what I did on Saturday morning, and I'm going to put this picture up right now. And I got a phone call from my buddy Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Everyone knows Hacksaw, and he invited me to this breakfast. And I'm going to take you through this picture. Now, this group of men right here, they're not only great guys, but they were very, very talented in their field. Not only that, they were all these guys. Look at them. Good looking group of guys. They never took a day off. When they came to work, they brought their hard hat and their lunch pail and they worked and they worked and worked. These gentlemen here were a big part of the San Diego media for many, many years. I'm going to start with the man on the left with the mustache. Nice smile on his face. Jeff LaValle worked forever at Channel 10, and he covered all the big sporting events in San Diego for probably 40 years. He was a cameraman at Channel 10. I mean, he was everywhere, covering the Chargers, the Padres, the Aztecs, the Sockers. He covered it all. And a marvelous man. The gentleman in the blue shirt with the glasses on and the beard is a guy by the name of Pat Kern. Pat Kern played in the NFL for a decade, played for the Rams, played for the Chargers, later became the business manager of the Chargers, and also was a color analyst for many years on Charger game day football broadcast, and just a marvelous man. The gentleman with the hat on, anybody that grew up in San Diego for 5 minutes knows that's the great shotgun Tom Kelly. And tremendous guy. Tremendous guy. For many years was on KCBQ, and then he went up to LA for 20 years on K Earth 101.1, and now doing a show on Sirius Radio. Yours truly back in the corner there. Across from me with the glasses, a gentleman by the name of John Riley, a radio historian here in San Diego and the producer of the Lee Hacksaw Hamilton podcast. Hacksaw's right there. We had a great time with Saw. Bill Lippis, coming towards the screen now in the green shirt. Bill Lippis, a great engineer, doing a marvelous job still covering a lot of Major League Baseball. He does a lot of the road teams that come in from the East and the Central, and he's their engineer. They don't send engineers on the road. Bill takes care of it out at Petco Park. And Mike McGregor, the man on the right, Mike McGregor, an incredible guy, former U.S. Marine MP, worked in radio over 40 years in San Diego. He did traffic reports forever, but he also, over 40 years, was the engineer for Charger broadcast. He was at every game for 40 years covering the Chargers. So it was a great day visiting with all those gentlemen. And man, I'll tell you what, each and every one of those guys, I have a tremendous amount of history with. And we have radio reunions from time to time. But sitting at the breakfast table the other day, really, really special time. So glad that I was invited, glad I'm a part of it. And it was a real honor and privilege to work in a variety of different ways with all of these gentlemen. Even if I didn't work directly with them, they were still in the media. And most of them I did work directly with. Jeff LaValle, I didn't work at Channel 10, but Jeff was out at so many of the events I was out covering. And of course, Shotgun Tom Kelly, him and I, we have a pretty good history with one another just off the air. He's a great man. But a great breakfast. I was over Rancho Bernardo, and I thought I'd share that with you today. Okay, I want to get into the Padres, and we're going to go game by game today. Friday night, man, they dominated the game, and then C.J. Abrams came up in the bottom of the eighth inning and hit that two-run home run. I'm going, oh, man, they can't lose the first game of this road trip. And they came up in the ninth inning, and they scored 5 runs. Manny hit the Padres' first grand slam of the year. And they ended up winning the game 7-2. Dylan Cease, I thought great. He was fantastic. If we get anything close to this, like Dylan Cease the remainder of the year, Padres are in good shape. Now, he didn't figure in the decision, but he went 5 1/3, 4 hits, no runs, no walks, and 10 strikeouts, and really had it working. Bullpen, Morahone, 2/3 of an inning. Estrada, an inning, gave up a hit, a strikeout, hit a batter. Jason Adam just didn't have it, 2/3 of an inning. He got cuffed around pretty good, 3 hits and 2 earned runs, a walk, served up that home run to C.J. Abrams, and that was an absolute no-doubter. Wandy Peralta came in, inning in the third, gave up 1 hit, picked up the win, record 4-1. Offensively in the ball game, Luis Arraez a 2-hit game. Manny had the big blow with the grand slam. Xander had a 2-hit game. He was 2 for 5. Cronenworth swinging the bat very well right now, 2 for 3. Also had a sac fly. And Jose Iglesias, we're going to talk more about Jose Iglesias. He came in the ball game, went 1 for 2 and scored a run. So a nice win. They were 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position on Friday night. And I'll be honest, I thought Mike Shildt may have managed his best game in a Padre uniform. He had a hit and run that was executed properly. He had 2 safety squeezes that he put on with Elias Diaz, and both times Diaz got him down. They ran the bases well. I thought Mike Shildt pushed all the right buttons on that game Friday night, and I really thought he managed one hell of a game, especially coming out of the All-Star break. Sometimes when teams come out of the All-Star break, it takes them a few days to kind of get back in their grind. They're mentally kind of checked out. Physically, they're trying to get their bodies going again. And we saw that from some teams over the weekend, namely the Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants. We'll get into the Dodgers a little bit later on in the program, but I thought Mike Shildt had his ball club really fine-tuned on Friday night. Then they come back on Saturday. And Yu Darvish pitched, and you can take out of it what you want from Yu Darvish. And I read a column today in the Union Tribune, which may be a little troublesome for me to a degree, and I'll get to that in a minute. But Darvish making his third start, I didn't think it was great. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, a strikeout. So far on the season, he's made 3 starts. He's 0-2 with a 6.08 ERA, a whip of 1.50, 13 1/3 frames, 13 hits, 9 runs, all earned, 7 walks, 8 strikeouts. Hasn't given up a home run yet. Okay, Padres get beat 4-2. Peralta came in, or Matsui came in first, gave up a run an inning and 2/3. Peralta came in 2/3, nothing. David Morgan came in 2/3 of an inning through 1 pitch, got a 6-3 double play off the bat of Josh Bell to end the inning. But the Padres couldn't get it done. They were 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position, which isn't bad. But they had their opportunities. They left 6 runners on. That's a game that they left on the field. They could have won that ball game. Arraez had a 2-hit game and an RBI. Iglesias, 2 for 4, a 7th double of the year. Maldonado had an RBI double. Cronenworth had a single in the ball game. Um, Fernando looks terrible, by the way, and I'll get into Fernando as well. But they get beat 4-2 on Saturday, which was disappointing. And as far as Darvish is concerned, if you read the paper this morning or are going to read the paper, you're going to read an article. And I thought Darvish was very, very honest. And I would expect that out of him because he's a real pro. But he's concerned that he could even have come back this year. Now, you got to remember, between this year through 2028, the Padres owed this man $63 million. And when you read this article today, the whole time I'm reading it, I'm going, is he going to make it to the finish line? And if he does, is he going to be worth anything? Now, the thing about Darvish has a lot of money. He made a lot of money in this game. And he made a lot of money in Japan before he ever came to the United States. And he's an honorable man. And I just got to wonder at some point in time, he may just shut it down and walk away from the remainder of that contract. Now, I don't know if it'll be at the end of this year or the end of next year. Some guys will continue to go out there and try to pitch and go on the IL and just collect the money. I don't think Darvish is that type of guy. But he got to get better. You know, I thought the first two outings, I saw a guy trying to reinvent himself. The other day, I just didn't think he had a whole lot, even though he was able to kind of scuffle through 5 innings, giving up the 3 runs. But, you know, hearing this article today, reading everything that was in there, he thought he might have to shut it down. He wasn't sure he could come back. And I'm thinking, man, we're in 2025 and he's got to pitch till 2028. Man, if I'm the Padres, I'm kind of concerned because the Padres got some payroll issues right now. I mean, they got a lot of guys under long-term contracts. That's going to take away flexibility. So you can give me your comments on that. And I'll get back to the payroll, and I'm going to get back to the trading deadline here in a minute as well. But yesterday, Padres come out, jumped all over Mackenzie Gore. I mean, they drowned him in the first inning. They scored 5 runs in the first inning. Padres had not hit a grand slam all year, and they hit 2 in this series against Washington. And Xander Bogaerts, wow, he's really starting to swing the bat. Hit a home run yesterday. What was that? His 8th career Grand Slam homer and 6th home run of the year. He pounded it. Mackenzie Gore, 5 runs in the first. Gave up another run in the second, and then Elias Diaz finished him off with a 2-run homer in the third. He was out of the ball game. Rough day for the old Padre. 2 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 8 runs, all earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. Gave up 2 home runs. 4.9 record ERA was at 3.05, jumped up to 3.59. He's still having a good year. He's still a good pitcher. He just didn't have it yesterday. But how about our guy Nick Pivetta? He picks up his 10th win of the year, drops his ERA down to 2.81. How good has this guy been? How did he not make the All-Star team? And I know people will say, well, how did Mackenzie Gore make the All-Star team? Well, he had a 3.05 ERA, playing for a bad ball club, but pitching well. But Pivetta, you know, Padres ended up with 5 All-Stars and 3 relievers. And Estrada could have made it as well, by the way. But Pivetta was left in the starting gate. Another outstanding start. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, a walk, 5 strikeouts. The only run he gave up was former Canyon Crest and USD product Riley Adams hit him over the right center field wall for a long home run. That was the only run Pivetta gave up. And, man, he pitching great. He 10-2. And I know Zach Wheeler. I know they talk a lot about him. You know, being the best pitcher in the league, and there's other guys out there doing a good job. But how about Nick Pivetta? Nobody ever talks about Nick Pivetta. And I know coming into this year, he had a 4 career ERA, but on any given year, this guy's pitching his tail off right now, and hopefully he can hang in there and continue to do it because the Padres desperately need it right now. And then yesterday, offensively, Arise had a hit. Manny 1 for 2, but had 3 walks and scored 2 runs. Xander Bogaerts 2 for 4, a walk, the grand slam, 4 RBIs. Iglesias 2 for 5, a run scored, his 8th double of the year. Cronenworth 2 doubles and an RBI. Bryce Johnson filling in for the sick Jackson Merrill. I don't know if Jackson's going to play today, and I'll be honest with you. Fernando looked like he was sick yesterday. Fernando looked terrible at the plate. He's not looked good at the plate for a while, though. He really hasn't. But yesterday, Fernando 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts, and a weak ground ball to second. And I mean a weak ground ball to second. But Bryce Johnson filled in for Jackson Merrill yesterday and had a two-hit game. 2 for 4. He did strike out twice. And Elias Diaz, a two-run homer, and it had another hit as well. So a good win yesterday. Padres out hit Washington 13-6, 4 for 12 with runners in scoring position. So all in all, you'll take 2 out of 3, but man, they could have won that game on Saturday. So that's my take on that. Now I want to get to Jose Iglesias. Um, I'm not saying I'm the president of the Jose Iglesias fan club, but I've always liked this guy. This guy has as good a hands as anybody in baseball defensively. This guy can play defense with anybody. I know he's 35 years of age, but we've seen him make some incredible plays when he's filled in for Manny down at third. He plays a solid shortstop and outstanding second baseman. Okay, now he's starting to get some work. And over the weekend, Mike Schilt got him into all 3 ball games. And he produced in all 3 ball games. He played Friday night, he came in. It was 1 for 2 with a run scored. And he pinch hit and took over as a DH. And then Saturday, he drew a start, started at third, gave Manny the day off. Manny still continued to be the designated hitter. Iglesias went 2 for 4 with his 7th double and a run scored. And Sunday, started at shortstop for Xander, 2 for 5, his 8th double. And over the weekend, 5 for 11 with 2 doubles and 3 runs scored. And I went back and I wanted to look at something because last year we know Iglesias wore out left-handed pitching. He hit like, 395 against left-handers last year playing for the Mets. Well, so far his overall numbers, he's hitting 244. Didn't really play a lot early in the year, starting to get more playing time now, and he needs to because you got to keep the regular guys fresh. And Iglesias is getting more playing time, and he's swinging the bat much better. But so far on the year, 244, doesn't have a homer, but he does have 23 RBIs. Now think about this. Cronenworth plays every day, and Cronenworth's got 31 RBIs, and Iglesias, plays 2 days a week sometimes early in the year, maybe 3 at the most as a pinch hitter, and he got 23 RBIs. So he's finding a way to drive in runs. Against left-handers this year, he's 21 of 75. He's hitting 280. Only 220 against right-handers, 26 for 18. But the month of July, now that he's getting an opportunity to play, he's 11 of 34 in July. He's hitting 324. And in June, he didn't play a lot. He was 9 of 52 for 173. But the other guy that now is all of a sudden started to come alive is Cronenworth. Cronenworth had a miserable year last year hitting against left-handers, and I went and looked at his numbers. He's doing a hell of a job this year against left-handers. 250, 19 of 76, 19 of 76, 3 homers and 10 RBIs. And against right-handers, he's hitting 245, 39 of 159, 5 homers, 21 RBIs, and a 769 OPS overall. So Cronenworth's starting to come alive a little bit. He made an error on a routine ball yesterday, but that happens. I think that was his 6th error of the year. But what I'm telling you, Iglesias is doing a good job, and he's a tough out. Doesn't strike out a lot. Puts the ball in play. Can hit the ball the other way. Good hit and run guy. So Jose Iglesias, I think, is going to continue to help this ball club. I've been very impressed with him. And, last year, he hit 337 for the Metropolitan. This guy's had a hell of a career. And we know he's a musician and a singer and all that. But, man, I'll tell you what, his bat's singing some line drives right now. I had a couple of doubles in that series, so very happy about the way he's performing right now. Okay, let's get out to some questions. We got a lot to cover still on the program. Let's get out to some questions right now. Coach's crew. Dario, wow. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. That's very kind of you. 2.5 games back. We're 3.5 games back. We're 3.5 games back right now. But I'm getting excited. X is batting well. Yes, he is finally. I need for us to get a bat ASAP. Luis Robert, Rutschman. We need something. Luis Robert, guy's hitting under 200. And he just went on the IL with a hamstring. And you've got a club option for him each of the next 2 years if the Padres were to take him on. He's 28 years old. It seems like he just came up yesterday with the White Sox, and he's supposed to be the next Mike Trout. Even today, they've got commercials running on the MLB network about Luis Robert. He hadn't done squat. 2 years ago, he had a marvelous year. Wasn't good last year and been awful this year. So I'm not going that direction. Rutschman, I would love to get him. And his numbers have gone backwards, but I would take him. I would definitely take Adley Rutschman. You know, his grandfather recruited me. His grandfather was the athletic director, head football coach, and head baseball coach at Linfield University up in Oregon. And he came to Maricosta, sat down with me, and his name's Adley Rutschman, and sat down with me and recruited me to Linfield. But I decided to stay in San Diego and go to USIU and play basketball. But he's switch hitter, great guy, comes from great stock, no doubt about that. I would take Rutschman, but the price might be pretty heavy. Now, the other thing, I want to give you a little update on Ethan Salas. Normally, I do my Leo DeVries update today, but I didn't do that today. We'll get that later in the week. But Ethan Salas has been out over 2 months with that stress reaction in his back, and apparently he's working out, but can't do any rotational activity. He's catching, but he can't move and he can't swing the bat yet. Padres think he'll come back, but the recovery has gotten very, very slow. So you got to be kind of concerned about that. The trading deadline coming up. Padres need a bat. They need another arm, I think, in the starting rotation. And they definitely need to upgrade the catcher spot. They got to get somebody to help out. I think Elias Diaz. I think Martin Maldonado's probably on borrowed time right now. Be hard to win a playoff series with what you got behind the plate. And again, this roster right now, they're playing better. They're playing better, but I still don't see this team being able to really compete for a World Series title. Now, I'll tell you that Dodgers are in a free fall. Dodgers in a free fall. We'll get to the Dodgers here in a minute, but I want to get out to more questions. But Daryl, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Okay, let's keep them rolling here. I'm sure we got a lot of people want to throw some questions at me today. Big Sam, good morning, Coach. It came down this morning from Kyle Glazer that Salas is likely out for the year. Do you think this back issue is something that could affect his career going forward? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the Padres, hey, you got to handle this kid with kid gloves. He just turned 19. Now, my report is they're hoping he can come back. Now, what they'll probably do is they'll wait and see, and maybe they'll shut him down, and then they'll maybe try to get him to play in the Arizona Fall League again. I think it's kind of day to day on that. But I know he's not doing any rotational activities right now. Just man, Padres can't get a break with this guy. You know, last year he had a rough year in high A ball, hit just a little over 200. This year they sent him to double A, he's hitting 188 and gets hurt and missed over 2 months. And now maybe he'll be out for the year. I think it's very tricky. But that's our number two prospect, was our number one, but now DeVries has jumped above him. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, anytime you have a back issue, it's not good. Okay, also, Casey King, great pick with a bunch of legends. I believe Mike McGregor also was a producer of USC Trojans football, as well as when 690 had the rights and Hacksaw was the play-by-play voice from 1998 to 2000. Yeah, he was. He worked with Lee all the time, and he would go on the road and do Lee's talk shows up in Orange County or around San Diego, and he did them for yours truly. I got to tell you a funny story about Mike McGregor. Mike McGregor and I traveled a lot together when I was doing the Aztecs, and he had these Billy Bob teeth. And they were so funny. We used to pull them out at remotes. He'd put those Billy Bob teeth in and scare people. So one time I think we were going to BYU. We're flying to Salt Lake City because we normally would stay in Salt Lake City and then drive down on game day to Provo. And so it's a Friday afternoon and they're handing out the drinks and everything on the plane. And I tapped the stewardess on the shoulder. I go, ma'am, could you get my friend some water? The cabin pressure is getting to him, and Mike just goes, ah! And he's got these Billy Bob teeth. The lady kind of started laughing and jumping around. It was kind of funny, but we had a lot of fun with Mike McGregor. He's one of the funniest guys you'll ever be around, but a good man and did a lot of really great things. And of course, a lot of you folks probably heard him for years and years and years doing traffic reports here in San Diego. He did that forever. Great radio guy, Mike McGregor. Great radio guy. All right, Case, thank you very much for that. What else we got today? Dario, bet on talent. Don't want to overpay for 1 year wonder. We need talent for October. I don't care about weekend. Maldi, Diaz, BJ, Locke, not the answer. No, I agree. I'll tell you what, Bryce Johnson, you got to give the man credit. He's done a pretty good job in his role. He's done a pretty good job. Hitting what 333, I think, after the two hits yesterday. Limited playing time, but he did a nice job. Can't criticize him at all. Maldonado, real good defensive catcher, but has a hard time hitting. Diaz, bats starting to come around. Couple of great suicide squeeze bunts the other night, and Lockridge down in AAA right now. He's a nice guy to come up if you need a pinch runner. He can run a little bit. He can play all three outfield spots. Not going to give you a whole lot offensively. But for guys like Bryce Johnson and Brandon Lockridge, there's a spot for them on a lot of major league rosters. They're not a fourth outfielder. They're a fifth outfielder. They're kind of a luxury from the standpoint. Uh, they're not everyday guys. They're not even really rotational guys. They're guys that come in late in the ball game to run, maybe play a little defense, but that's kind of where they're at. And now teams, a lot of times, because you don't have pinch hitters, and you carry 13 pitchers and 13 position players, uh, there's not a spot a lot of times for a fifth outfielder. Guys will go with an infielder who can play the outfield. By the way, we saw Tyler Wade yesterday. Actually got an at bat. It's been forever since Tyler Wade got an at bat. He grounded out, but man, I haven't seen him swing the bat in a few weeks. But that's kind of my take on that. But I agree with you on that. And thanks again for the super. Very much appreciate that. Okay, what else we got? Mike, morning, coach. How about Xander Bogaerts? People are quick to bash him, but he's been lights out as of late. I'm not going to give myself any credit on this, but you go back about 6 weeks ago, and I was saying, man, Xander Bogaerts has got to go back to the drawing board because he looks bad at the plate. Now he's staying back and starting to drive the ball. Right when I started bringing this up, and I go, he's got to get back to the basics of hitting. And I think he has. I still don't like that one arm follow through. I'm not a big one arm follow through guy. I want you to drive that bat with both your hands through the hitting area. But you know what? Right now it's working. He's making things happen, playing great ball. I think his self confidence is back. Played a great shortstop really all year long. Nobody sits around and goes, well, Xander doesn't really have a great range at shortstop. Yeah, that didn't come into play this year. It really hasn't. Now you can look at metrics and point to this or that. Bottom line, the guy is catching the ball and throwing the ball, doing a great job. And I think everyone knows I'm a big Xander Bogaerts fan, and I've been pulling for this guy. And if you're a Padre fan, you better be pulling for him because we got him for many, many more years. So hopefully he'll continue swinging the bat and getting that average up there. There's no doubt about that. With yesterday's performance, he's up to 267. Now think about this. Fernando's hitting 264. And I know Fernando's got more home runs, but Xander's got quite a few doubles. And Xander's playing good. Man, Fernando just doesn't look right to me. You think he's hurt? You guys think he's hurt? What's the problem with Fernando? He hasn't really been that great. I mean, being on the All-Star team, I thought was kind of a gift. I thought, the first 6 weeks, first 2 months, man, I thought he was like the MVP of the league. Now he's just kind of another guy. What's wrong with Fernando? Anybody got an idea what's wrong with Fernando? If you got an idea, type it in. I want to hear from you. But Mike, I agree, man. Xander's doing a hell of a job, and nobody can be getting on him. He's playing his tail off. And the other thing about him, a lot like Manny, man, those guys play every day. And I think it's great that they got a guy like Iglesias who can play defense as well as either one of those guys. And you put him at third. Iglesias has been great at third. I thought he might struggle at third because he's normally a shortstop or second baseman. He has made some unbelievable plays at third base. So think about that. You're not giving up anything defensively when you give Manny a day to DH because you got a guy like Jose Iglesias. And again, I think people around baseball that have watched him for the last decade plus, they realize this guy has as good a hands as any infielder in baseball. Think about that. That's pretty amazing. Well, Mike, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. Assuming Pivetta keeps this up and King returns and Darvish gets into form, who starts the first playoff game? Well, boy, that's a lot of ifs right there. I don't know if King's coming back. We hope he is. We're going to find out probably more on King when the ball club gets back next week. Uh, I haven't heard that his wife has given birth. They're expecting a child. We know Gavin Sheets and his wife had a little baby last week. King did not travel with the ball club, so we're not getting any updates. Apparently, he's throwing bullpens back here at Petco Park. But maybe Mike Schilt today in Miami, maybe that question will come up and we'll have some kind of answer. Darvish has got a long ways to go. Right now, I think you'd have to go with Pavetta. I think just off of what I see now, Pavetta's been fantastic all year long. And, King will, if he does come back, is going to have to go down to the minor leagues, throw a couple games probably. And hopefully the Padres are still in the running. But that's kind of the way I'm looking at it right now. Darvish got a long ways to go. His next start will be in St. Louis. And we'll see how that goes. But that's kind of my take on that. Okay, what else we got today? Keep them coming. What is it? At some point, I'd love to hear your history as a player, coach. Did you play pro ball? No, I didn't play pro ball. I My history as an athlete, I was a three-sport athlete at Torrey Pines: football, basketball, baseball. Went to Maricosta College. I played basketball for 2 years, 2 years of baseball. Was the athlete of the year my sophomore year in the entire college, which was kind of cool. It was more than cool because guys like Willie Buchanan and Chris Chambliss and Mike Kozlowski had won that award, and I won it my sophomore year. Coming out of high school, I had one scholarship offer. It was to Point Loma College, now Point Loma Nazarene. Ben Foster, their head basketball coach, was recruiting me. I decided to go to Maricosta, and so I had one scholarship offer coming out of high school, and I was an all-league basketball player. I was eighth in the county in scoring my senior year. I was fifth as a junior, and that was before the three-pointer. And I was actually a long-range shooter, even though being a big burly guy, I could really shoot. Um, and then I was an all-CIF baseball player. And so I went to Maricosta, had 2 great years there. And I went from having one scholarship offer coming out of high school to about 35 coming out of junior college. And I had them both in basketball and baseball. A lot of schools, well, most of the schools wanted me for one or the other. They weren't going to allow me to play both. Excuse me. So I decided to go to USIU to play for a guy by the name of Mike McDonald, and baseball for a guy named Bob Vetter. That was a school that was going to allow me to play both. Now, there were a couple of other schools that were going to allow me to do that, but I decided to go to USIU. I wanted my mom and dad to be able to see me, my family be able to see me play, not have to get on a plane or drive long hours, because I was getting recruited by Colorado State, Wyoming, Utah, lot of schools, okay, both in Division I and Division II, and NAIA. So I had all these choices. I decided to go to USIU, and quite frankly, it was a great choice. We didn't have a great team. Coach McDonald ended up getting fired after my junior year. I tore my patella tendon, tried to go out and play baseball, couldn't move. My knee blew out, eventually had surgery, and USIU went from NAIA to Division I. And I was given the opportunity to come back and play, but my knee wasn't good. So I got into coaching at Torrey Pines and coached there for 3 years. Went to Maricosta as an assistant to play or to coach with my old junior college coach, John Seeley. I went down to Southwestern in 1985 with Jerry Bardo. We won the conference title, set a school record for wins. I got a job at Texas Tech University as a recruiting coordinator and assistant baseball coach. And the year before I got there, they set the school record for losses. The 1 year that I was there, we set the school record for wins. Dave Geck, who's an administrator at a school in San Diego, was a shortstop at Mesa. I took him with me, and he was a shortstop at Texas Tech. Bill Shudd, who was my star pitcher at Southwestern, went with me. He'd been drafted by Milwaukee, and I was coaching summer ball in Red Oak, Iowa, and a catcher by the name of Mark Booth didn't want to go back to Grand Canyon, so he went with me to Texas Tech, and we set the school record for wins. Everything's going great, and the head coach gets fired. And I was 28 years old, had a wife, 2 children. I got rehired by Larry Hayes, who's a heck of a coach. Larry coached for many years at Texas Tech. I got rehired. I decided before the following year, after I got rehired, to come back. Accidentally got into the radio business and continued to coach at Torrey. I coached 7 years of baseball, 3 years of football, 2 years of basketball, and I actually coached my oldest daughter 2 years in women's fast pitch softball. Uh, but along with that, I also, back in the 80s, I was a scout for the Kansas City Royals, worked for a gentleman by the name of Al Kupski, one of the greatest scouts of all time. And then I hooked up when I came back from Texas. The Marlins were just kind of getting their organization together, and I ran tryout camps and scouted for Gary Hughes and Orrin Freeman, two incredible baseball people, and they're both deceased now, as is Al Kupski. But had a great run, had over 30 players that played for me get drafted, signed professional contracts. I've had, I think, four guys have gotten to the big leagues just for a cup of coffee. But hey, getting to the big leagues even for a cup of coffee is better than most of us. But and I still work with players. I was on the texting back and forth with a young high school player yesterday. I've been working with him on his swing a little bit. He's starting to show some progress. Winton Bernard, who broke into the big leagues a couple of years ago in 2022 with Colorado. He's playing in the Mexican League, hitting 321 right now. I'm in constant contact with him, working with him on his swing. And so I'm still very much involved in baseball, just kind of at my own pace. People always ask, why don't you work for a ball club? Well, I don't want to work for a ball club because I don't want to have to go here and go there if I don't want to do that. Now, if you want me to go out and look at a player from time to time, I'm more than happy to do that. But I'm not getting back into the rigors of baseball because the way I work, I'd wear myself out. But I love coaching. I love recruiting. Obviously, the landscape has changed, but I had a great athletic career. And my goal was to play professional baseball or professional basketball. When I hurt my knee, I knew that was going out the wayside, and I would have never been able to play in the NBA. But I think I could have gone to Europe. I think if I'd have stayed healthy, I could have played in Europe, probably made a little bit of money. Baseball wise, for a big guy, I was a line drive hitter, didn't launch the ball like a lot of guys, but I was a good baseball player. But I think I don't want to underscore my baseball ability, but I think as far as playing professionally, I think I probably had a better chance to play pro basketball because I could really shoot, and I really learned how to rebound and play angles with your body. And but I think I would have probably ended up in Europe. One of the things I've done, and I'm very proud of, and I'll tell you a quick story. When I was coming out of college. I couldn't play the last couple of years because I was hurt, but I wanted to play for the Washington Generals. And I wanted to do it for 1 year coming out of college. I wanted to travel around and then write a book about, being a Washington General playing against the Globetrotters. Well, I got a letter from Red Clots. Uh, about 6 weeks after I dropped the letter off. They were at the sports arena playing the Trotters, and I gave it to the security man down there. Go, would you give this to Red Clots? You're not going to believe it. He walks out onto the court with my little folder and held my folder the entire night when they were playing the Trotters. This is back in like 1979, 1980. Yeah, it had to be 1980 or 81. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. He had my folder. Well, about 6 weeks later, I get a letter from Red Clots. He was on this hotel stationery. And he's telling me about this tryout camp up in Long Beach. And man, I wanted to go, but like if I played for a day or two, my knee would get like really sore and stiff, and I couldn't move. So I wrote him back and said, Mr. Klotz, I really appreciate you getting back to me, but I'm hurt and I can't perform right now. So then in 2009, I think a lot of you know I had a heart attack. It was 2 days to go. Boach and Flannery were in town with the Giants. Went to the ball game on Friday night. Had a heart attack early Saturday morning. Did a radio show with Bob Scanlon. Didn't know that I had a heart attack and came home, was going to go to the ballpark, and I was going to do a show that night with Randy Jones and Dave Roberts, who was working for the ball club at the time. And my wife goes, yeah, I think we better go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, and they tell, well, you had a heart attack. And I go, oh, my goodness gracious. And boy, it was a low point in my life. So they put a couple of stents in me. And so fast forward, I go through the rehab and I get back on the radio. And Rich Schloss, a PR guy here in San Diego, knew that I had that opportunity to play against the Trotters. If I would have been able to play for the Washington Generals, 30 years earlier. So, anyways, he sets it up. and I signed a one-day contract with the Washington Generals. I got to play against the Harlem Globetrotters at the sports arena. And just to make a long story short, I had two shots. My first shot, I was so excited, so excited. Normally, when you shoot an air ball, it's short. I shot an air ball that was long. I was so excited about playing against the Trotters. Second time down, boom, I nail a long range jump shot. It would have been a three, but they weren't playing the three ball. And then I get the ball underneath. I give the old pump fake, get the guy in the air, lean into him. He comes down on my back. I go to the free throw line. I made one or two free throws. Still pissed that I missed that one free throw, but it was tough because he pulled my pants up around my boobs. So I got to play 3 minutes against the Globetrotters, scored 3 points. So I finally got to live out my dream of playing against the Harlem Globetrotters. So that was pretty cool. But no, that's my athletic career in a nutshell. I was very fortunate to play for some great coaches, played with a lot of great guys, and I got the most out of my athletic ability. I worked my tail off. And my parents were here. They would tell you all the stories about little Johnny Kenera shooting late at night. I used to shoot 5, 6 hours a day by myself. Steve Tejas, hi, Coach. I think Tatis needs to back off plate a little bit. What do you think he needs to do? Looks so frustrated. Well, he's changing his stance. He's closed one day, he's open another. Um, on TV, you look at it, it looks like he he dives in. He starts off the plate, but he kind of dives in. That's why a lot of guys do it now. They don't stay back. Uh, he just looks defeated at the plate. And that ground ball he hit yesterday to second base, I go, man, what's wrong with this guy? And they eventually took him out of the game. And I know they had a big lead, but they took him out after the fifth inning yesterday. He just needs to find a comfort zone in the batter's box. But he just doesn't look that interested to me. He looks defeated, and for a guy that's been around now for 6 years, I'd expect a little bit more grit from him. We'll see what today brings. And I don't know, maybe he was sick. I mean, Jackson Merrill obviously had to be scratched, about 30 minutes before the game yesterday, just not feeling well. So maybe Fernando, maybe he's under the weather. But man, if he's not under the weather, I'm even more concerned because he just doesn't look right. He hasn't looked right to me for a while. Not at all. Steve, good to hear from you, buddy. Always a real pleasure. Okay, what else we got? Okay, we got to get to the pitching matchup. Now I'm going to tell you something about this Miami team. They're not the ha ha he he Marlins. They're playing pretty good baseball. Their record now, they're only 6 games under 500 on the year, and they're playing in the NL East. They're 46 and 52. Padres start today at 54 and 45. Padres are going to go, from what we understand, they're going to go with right-hander Randy Vasquez. Padres have been kind of quiet on what their matchups are going to be, but I'm going to tell you what I know. Vasquez is going to go tonight. He's 3-4 with a 3.80, going against a really interesting young 22-year-old kid. He's 6'8", 220. Yuri Perez, 3-2 and a 3.18. He's only pitched 34 innings, but he's got 35 strikeouts and a 0.91 ERA. I mean, this guy's 6'8", 220. Wow. The game going to get underway at 3:40. Now, tomorrow, game also will start at 3:40. Padres are undecided. I think what's going to happen, they're going to make a move. I would imagine Alec Jacob, who pitched 2 shutout innings on Sunday. I'm going to make the move for AJ and Schilt. I'm going to say Alec Jacob gets sent back to El Paso, and they're going to call up Stephen Kolek to make this start. That's my guess, because Kolek got optioned out after his last outing. They're going to go against a guy that's on the trade block right now, Edward Cabrera, 3-4 and a 3.61. Another big guy, 6'5", 217, 27 years of age. And then Wednesday morning, we're going to have our show Wednesday morning at 9. Just like usual, and the Padres play at 9:10. They're going to go with right-hander Dylan Cease, 3-9 and a 4.64 against Sandy Alcantara, 4-9 and a 7.14. Alcantara's a big guy too at 6'5", 200, 29 years of age, and his name is being bandied about. Who knows? Cabrera and Alcantara, they may be making their final starts in a Marlins uniform, but don't think the Marlins are going to be a layup for the Padres right now. They're playing very, very good baseball. Okay, I wanted to mention the Dodgers today before we get to all the standings. Dodgers at 58 and 42 right now. Dodgers have dropped 10 of their last 12. They got beat over the weekend. And yesterday, I watched the game because the Padres played at 10:35 and the game was over. I watched the entire Dodger game yesterday. I have not seen the Dodgers play that bad in years, and I mean years. They made 3 errors. Edmund made a throwing error. Usturi Ruiz, who was playing left field yesterday, kicked the ball in the outfield, then threw to the wrong base. Andy Pajes went back on a fly ball and whiffed on it. Eventually made another great catch up against the wall, saving a home run. Kershaw was beside himself yesterday. Uh, he wasn't great, but he wasn't awful. Dodgers had a 3-0 lead, and all of a sudden they burped it up. It was 3-3. Next thing you know, Kershaw's out of the ball game. Couldn't get through the fifth inning. Went in, and when's the last time you saw Kershaw slam his glove down, throw his hat, hit the water cooler, just totally frustrated? Then after the game, they interviewed him, and he goes, "Man, we got to play better." And he finally told the cameraman after a while, "Hey, turn the thing off." He goes, "I'm only going to get myself in trouble." I mean, Freddie Freeman gets hit on the right hand yesterday. They're going to call it day-to-day, a right hand contusion. They flipped Mookie Betts with Ohtani. Ohtani's not swinging. Yeah, he runs into one every once in a while, but he's not hitting for much of an average. Mookie Betts has been a season-long funk. I don't know if it's from playing shortstop or what, getting worn down. He got off to a rough start where he got that illness, didn't play in that first series in Asia, and it's just not been right. And Max Muncy's working on trying to come back, but they've lost 10 or 12, 6 in a row to Milwaukee. Milwaukee, I'm going to tell you what, Milwaukee's damn good. And Pat Murphy was not very good here in San Diego as a manager, and I talked about this last week. He really learned a lot from being in San Diego, but then working for his former player, a guy that he coached at Notre Dame, Craig Counsell. He was his bench coach for a number of years before Counsell took the job with the Cubs. And Pat Murphy right now, and I've been watching Milwaukee quite a bit on TV, and not just against the Dodgers. They're playing like a college baseball team. They're running. They're playing great defense. They got great pitching, great starting pitching, great relief pitching. I mean, they're a complete team. They may be the best team right now, aside from Detroit in baseball, the way they're playing. They're stealing bases. I mean, they're playing like a college baseball team. They're tough outs at the plate. They don't strike out a ton. They put the ball in play. They make you beat them. And they dominated the Dodgers all weekend long, and they dominated them prior to the All-Star break in Milwaukee. 6-0 against the Dodgers this year. Now, the Dodgers got Minnesota coming in. And then they got to go out on the road. They got to go to Boston this coming weekend. But they've got Minnesota. They've been very mediocre, to say the least. But yeah, the Dodgers in a complete free fall right now, and they're looking at one another, going, "What's going on?" And it wouldn't even surprise me. We may not hear about it. It would not surprise me if they had a team meeting after the game yesterday, or they're going to have one before today. I'm not a big team meeting guy, but the way the Dodgers are going about it, they look just totally out of sync. Totally out of sync. Blake Snell's working on getting back. Glasnow's back and throwing the ball pretty well. Now, tonight, they're going to have Ohtani start, and they're going to have Dustin May come in. See how Dustin May performs coming out of the bullpen. But yeah, the Dodgers dropped 10 of 12. I know Padre fans, we're not exactly losing sleep over that one. Padres start today 3.5 games back. Let's take a look at the American League standings here. All right, Toronto, a big weekend. They swept the San Francisco Giants. They got a 3-game lead over the Yankees. Red Sox, 5 games back. Tampa Bay, 6.5 back. And the Orioles. I'm anxious to see what the Orioles are going to do at the trading deadline. They've got to unload some of their guys, I would imagine. Detroit, we saw them last night take down Bruce Bochy's ball club 2-1. Tarek Skubal, another incredible performance. They're 20 games over 500 right now. They've got that division wrapped up. 11 games, 11 and a half over the Twins. Kansas City, a disappointing year at 48-52, 12 games back. And then the White Sox, 25 games back. Houston, they had kind of a tough weekend against the Astros. Seattle's pretty good. Seattle's pretty tough. 53-46 for Seattle, 4 games back of the 57-42 Houston Astros. Texas, right at the 500 mark. I keep waiting for Texas to kick that offense in. but it just really hasn't happened. Angels, they took 2 out of 3 over the weekend in Philadelphia. Angels, man, I got to give them credit. They're a little bit outmanned, but they continue to play hard. They're still in the wild card race, 4 games back, but 49-50, and then the Athletics at 42-59, 16 games back. Let's take a look at the American League wild card here. I wouldn't have thought the Angels had a puncher's chance in the wild card, but they're hanging in there right now. Right now, if we were playing the wild card series today, Yankees, a 2-game lead. The Mariners, Boston, all three of those teams are good. Tampa Bay's hanging in a game and a half back. Texas 3.5 back, and the Angels at 4 games back. Guardians, they may start unloading some people. Stephen Kwan, Emmanuel Clase, there's talk there. Minnesota 5 games back. I just don't think they have the wherewithal. There's also talk that, and I don't believe the Dodgers would do this, about Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa is not the same player at all. And the also Rams after that. But right now, Yankees, Mariners, Red Sox, don't rule out the Rays and don't rule out the Rangers. Not sure the Angels have enough to, die 5 or 6 games over 500. But you know what? If you're an Angel fan, you have to kind of be encouraged. They're played hard, and we'll have to wait and see if Ron Washington comes back next year. I think he's probably managed his final game in the big leagues. And Ray Montgomery, I don't know if he'd be the long-term guy or not. We'll have to wait and see how things pan out. Okay, let's take a look at the National League here. See what we got with the National League after a big weekend. Philadelphia, half-game lead over the Mets. I think Philadelphia is better than the Mets, but the Mets kind of hanging in there. The other news, Alec Boehm, the big third baseman for Phillies who got hit when they were playing the Padres, he's got a fractured rib. They had to put him on the IL. Marlins, 9.5 games back, but hey, they're in third place right now. Atlanta, Marcell Ozuna's available. Brian Snitker said yesterday, he goes, if he's here, he'll play occasionally. And he's not having a great year, hitting about 235 right now, and the Nationals bringing up the rear. Cubs and Brewers, this is going to be a hell of a race. I kind of like the Brewers right now. Cubs have had a great year with PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong. I remember watching that kid play in 10th grade at Harvard Westlake, and he was kind of a famous guy even when he was in 10th grade. And to see what he's doing right now, wow, he's been absolutely on fire. That race there is going to be the best race in baseball. And either one of those teams, I think, are capable of going very, very deep in the playoffs. In fact, Milwaukee, they may be able to get to the World Series this year. They got some dudes in that bullpen. That bullpen is awesome. Then out west, you got the Dodgers 3.5 up on the Padres. The Giants, they had a rough weekend getting swept in Toronto. They're 6 games back. Diamondbacks, they're probably getting close to unloading Eugenio Suarez. He had 2 more homers yesterday, by the way. And then you got the Rockies. So there you have it. Take a look at the wild card. Padres putting themselves in a little bit better position in the wild card after taking 2 out of 3. They've opened up a 2.5 game lead over the Reds and the Giants, Cardinals. It's going to be a big series. Padres need to get at least 2 out of 3 for Miami, and then they got a 4-game set starting on Thursday against the Cardinals, and then you got the Diamondbacks still thinking they got a chance at 4.5 back, and Marlins, they're too far back. They're not, and they're looking to probably unload a couple of their pitchers as well. So there's the standings for that. Okay, real quick here before we get to our coach's mailbag. Let's get a quick roll call today. Where are you watching and listening to the show from? Just type in the city, and we're just going to keep rolling, and then we'll get to coach's mailbag. I want to hear Michael Jentz. Hey, from North County. All right, I'll take that. I want to hear roll call. We got to know where people are coming from. Watching from Minnesota, a Twin fan, and I love your show. Watch it daily. Bill, thank you very much. Let's keep roll call coming. We got anybody in Hawaii today? How about New Jersey? Big Joe. Big Joe, I saw your son celebrated his 29th birthday. Happy birthday to your boy. I pay attention to Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. So hope all's well, Joe. Good to hear from you. Where else we got people today? Tuning in from Houston, Coach. Oh, my goodness gracious. 2 things. Number 1, stay cool. And number 2, hopefully your air conditioning bill's not too high this time of year in Houston. Holy Toledo. Really appreciate that. Mike, always a pleasure. City Heights, Mr. Visser, appreciate that very much. Keep them rolling. We got anybody in Hawaii today? Carlsbad, Rich McGuire. He got to be happy the Padres are only 3.5 games back right now. Love roll call. Julian. Oh my goodness. I love Julian. Those Julian pies are to kill for, aren't they? Julian is such a cool town to go up there, especially when it's a little cool and a little, maybe even snowing a little bit. Ruben, listening from Shelltown. Very nice. Like it. Good job. Where else we got? Groovy T tuning in from Rancho Bernardo. All right. Heck, I'm surprised you didn't run into me and Hacksaw the other day at breakfast. We were at IHOP in Rancho Bernardo, huh? Big Neil, San Dimas. All right. Beautiful. Let's get a few more in here. Let's get a few more in today before we get to Coach's mailbag. What else we got? Got anybody in Hawaii? We got anybody in London, England today? Where are you listening and watching the show from today? I want to hear from you. Okay. Dara, Nando needs to find a batting stance and stick with it. The constant tweaks show he's lost his confidence. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Not a lot to say on that. You know what? Get a nice straightaway stance where you can cover all quadrants of the plate. Go up there and swing. You know, it's kind of funny. We were talking about maybe Fernando standing, Steve Tejas wrote in, standing far from the plate, but he dives in. You know, I'm watching Mookie Betts and I'm watching Otani and I'm watching Freddie Freeman and especially Teoscar Hernandez. All those guys are away from the plate. Freddie's on the plate a little bit more. I've never seen Freddie Freeman swing and miss more than this year. Teoscar Hernandez, he can't get to anything really outside unless the guy makes a mistake. He can't get to the outside part of the plate. Got to get in on the plate a little bit. Challenge those guys to throw the ball inside on you. But I agree. I'm anxious to see number one if Fernando plays today because he looked terrible yesterday. I mean, there was a good reason to get him out of the ballgame. They had a big lead, but maybe he just didn't feel well. But even then, he hadn't swung the bat well in 2 months. I'm going to take a look at his numbers over the last couple of months, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday's program. They got to get him going. Because right now, he's a little bit better than an average major league player. He's not doing anything dynamic right now. But I agree with you, and thank you very much for the super. Very much appreciate that. Okay, what else we got here? We got another coach's mailbag. What do we got? Like answering questions. JB, I think Preller has learned his lesson. Preller has made some good trades, but he's also done some things that have hurt the future of the ball club. We lost that Nationals trade. Yeah, we did. And unfortunately, we got to watch it for many more years. You know what? Ownership went for it. Peter Seidler, I think, knew his days were numbered, and they rolled the dice, and we came up short. So, you know, and not all of these moves, and I'm not going to pin this on Peter because he's not here to defend himself, but there were a couple of things. I think re-signing Machado to that long-term deal a year ago when he had the opportunity to opt out at the end of the year, I think that was a Peter Seidler deal, and I know Xander Bogaerts was. And I'm not trying to blame anybody for Xander. Xander's playing good baseball, but we really didn't need him at the time. There were other needs of the Padres. But he's here, good guy, works hard, hasn't played as well as we would have hoped, but he's playing better right now. Let's just be happy for the way he's playing right now. But yeah, AJ made a lot of mistakes, but so have a lot of other general managers. But the problem you have now, and it's really a threefold problem. You got too many guys under long-term contracts, and they're getting older. Some of them are non-producing. Darvish, non-producer. Okay. Musgrove, he'll be back. And Joe, you know, he can't wait to get back. Cronenworth, you know, average at best, probably at this point in time. Bogarts has been very average for the most part. Uh, you know, you got these guys under long-term contracts, and you know, Manny's producing, Fernando kinda. But Fernando, you know, is an affordable contract, but I think Fernando probably has been a little bit of a disappointment. And I hate to say that, but been a little bit of a disappointment to me at least. I don't know about you. But you've got long-term contracts. You've got a farm system that's not very good. And I think you probably have some budgetary issues right now. And we're going to find out more every day that goes by. We're going to find out what AJ can do and what he can't do. I mean, is this team, can they take on salary? And I would certainly think if they're going to make a trade, here's how I would look at this. If they're going to make a trade for a starting pitcher, they better not just get a starting pitcher that his contract runs out at the end of the year. I don't see King coming back. Now, King may come back if he doesn't come back to pitch this year because he can make $15 million. next year. He could also walk away with a $3.5 million buyout. But if he doesn't come back, how many teams are going to be clamoring to sign Michael King? Now, if they had the Michael King from last year and early this year healthy, that's a totally different story. So Michael King wants to come back for two reasons. Number one, he wants to come back hopefully to help the ball club. And number two, he also wants to showcase his skills because he can opt out of the player option at the end of the year and still get $3.5 million, then go sign a long-term contract. And at 30 years of age, this is going to be his only opportunity to really go out there and get the golden goose. And I don't think Pavetta's under a long-term contract, thankfully. Dylan Cease won't be back. Darvish will be back. Musgrove will be back, but Darvish will be a year older, and Joe will be coming off of Tommy John. So if you trade for a pitcher, a starting pitcher, I would hope that you would have that pitcher under control for at least next year, if not multiple years. So that means you're going to have to take on some money. Is this ownership willing to take on money? I don't know. We're going to find out. And I don't know what prospects we're going to give up. But the worst thing the Padres can do right now is stand pat. The way they're playing right now, they're going to force ownership in the front office to make a positive move. But if they were to go into a tailspin and drop 2 out of 3 in Miami and drop 3 out of 4 in St. Louis and then come home and get beat 2 out of 3 by the Mets and 2 out of 3 by the Cardinals, and man, you probably go in a different direction. We're running out of days, though. Today's the 21st. The trading deadline's July 31st. Padres got to continue to put the pressure on the front office to make a positive move. If they go sideways, then you're going to start selling pieces off. Or you're going to keep your pieces and make everybody qualifying offers. And so you can at least get maybe a 4th-round draft pick. So that's kind of the way I see it. Okay, what else we got on Coach's mailbag here? Steve, the trade deadline's coming up fast, and I'm still disappointed. Are we sellers or buyers? I think right now, the way they played over the weekend, we're sellers. Now, we'll see what happens here in the next 3 days. Remember, they don't have any days off for a while. They've got today, tomorrow, Wednesday, then they go into St. Louis for 4 games. They come home next Monday. They got the Mets, and then they got the Cardinals, and then an off day. So we'll see where they're at. But we got 10 days to go. So you've got 7, 8, 9, 10. You got 10 games before the trade deadline. You got 3 against the Marlins, 4 against the Cardinals, 3 against the Mets. And the trade deadline will be here. So even before the Cardinals get to town, you're going to have made a move. So there you have it. Right now, I think they're buyers. Matthew, thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. I want to see the Padres get Cabrera. I talked to James Shields last year, and he's thinking our starting pitching should be stronger for a championship. I agree. I mean, if everybody was healthy, I think we got a good enough starting staff, with King, Cease, Pavetta. You get Darvish, being your 4 guy. That'd be pretty good. And really, you only need 3 starters in the postseason. Dodgers proved that. They had, 2.5 last year, and they won the World Series. You got to get good bullpen here. And again, we got to keep our bullpen fresh. That's a big part of it. But I wouldn't mind having Cabrera. We're going to see Cabrera tomorrow. See how he looks. He may be pitching for every other baseball team in baseball tomorrow, aside from the Marlins, because his name has been thrown around really even since last offseason. But Matthew, thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. All right, that's going to do it. Man, we went over an hour today. Good stuff. Didn't really plan on giving my player and coach's resume, and I tried to do that fairly quickly, but no, I'm very proud of what I accomplished as a player, coach, and some great days, man. A lot of great days, and still stay in contact with a lot of my former teammates and definitely a lot of my former players. But again, we'll be back in on Wednesday morning. Padres are going to be playing Wednesday morning shortly after we get on the air, but we're going to talk more about the possible trades. Who knows? Maybe the Padres will make a trade before the game on Wednesday. But again, thank you very much for tuning in. Please subscribe, please like, and please send your comments in. And again, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. For my colleague, Jonathan Oliveri, who produces, directs this program. Coach John Kenera, have a great day, everyone. We'll talk to you again Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Bye-bye.